Welcome, welcome to Inspire Others, a place where you get inspired and also empowers you to inspire others. But here to inspire others, we just like to keep a show where we say to inspire, to empower. And that's our message, and that's as always continuously to be our message. That's our message is to empower people and to inspire people to do incredible things out there in the world. Yes, today we had an incredible chance to speak with one of an incredible man who has been doing incredible things here in Brisbane. He goes by the name of Stephen Kamal, and he's the founder and president of One in Four Children, which is a charity out here trying to help young people, give education to people overseas who don't have the chances or they didn't have the ability to be able to get an education. He works he's a business analyst for a Brisbane a company here in Australia, and he's an incredible person. So I would encourage you to listen into his talk today. He shared a lot of golden nuggets with us today. So please welcome to Inspire Others. And my name is Glory.
Good morning, good evening, wherever you are.
Yeah,
I'm so happy to be here.
Thank you very much, man, for taking the time. I know you might be busy with other things, but thank you for taking this time, especially in the morning.
No, we're up as soon as the sun is up. We're ready to go.
Indeed. We really appreciate you for joining us at Inspire Others. Do you mind first by introducing who you are and what you do?
My name is Stephen Kamal. As my good friend Gloria has already said, I was born in Sudan and moved to Australia in about 2006. I've got a young family, 2 kids, and a boy and a girl, beautiful wife. That's probably about my personal life. But professionally, I did a Bachelor of Information Systems, and I'm currently working as a business analyst for one of the largest consulting companies in the country. And also as a way of giving back to the community, I founded One in Four Children, which works to donate books to support overseas communities wherever education is sort of lacking.
All right, Cindy. Oh, man, thank you very much. And how did you sort of find yourself here in Australia? Like, how was the transition coming here to Australia? How was it?
Yeah. So if I step back a little bit from that question, so as I briefly mentioned, I was born in Sudan, and there's been a lot of war, I suppose, as many people already know.
Right.
So within Sudan, I was born in an area called South Kordofan, and which is where you find there's the Darfur and /Nuba mountain areas.
Mhm.
And I left when I was fairly young, moved to a refugee camp over in Kakuma, and then from Kakuma transitioned to another refugee camp in Uganda, where I attended part of my primary school and a little bit of secondary school. So I immigrated to Australia as a refugee or on a refugee visa.
Right.
And I moved here with my auntie and my cousins who have always young.
Right.
So I suppose the transition, coming from a refugee background, at least culturally, there is a lot of difference from how and what people actually do here versus what people would do at home. I found that coming here as somewhat younger, maybe it was a little bit easier to transition into the Australian culture, just to adapt, really.
Right.
But so for me, so far has been okay. I have to say, like I haven't struggled with a lot of things that probably majority of people struggle with. Maybe I'm just blessed. I'm very lucky.
Right.
But you still find some of those. So there are still some differences, and there are things that I've done along the way that have perhaps made the transition a bit easier.
Indeed. And how do you coming here in Australia? How do you overcome maybe barriers that could have maybe hindered your success?
So I think I attribute some of the successes that I've had so far to some of the hardships, that some of the hardships that I have faced along the way. Obviously coming from a refugee background, you see so many things, whether it's the war, whether it's the poverty, whether it's the lack of education in different communities that you're part of, whether it's the separation between you and your family, because as I mentioned, if you were paying attention, is that I didn't actually grow up with my mom or my dad and my other siblings. So I've always known my auntie and my cousins to be, my brothers and mom, etc. I suppose, and then when I came here into joined high school, I think I had a bit of a tougher experience, and that's probably where I really did. I would say I miss home a little bit because of all my friends and things like that. So now having to think about some of the challenges that I face, which I just highlighted as some, gave you a brief summary of, I really wanted to put myself in a position where I didn't want to face, some of those things again. So I wanted to be stable. I wanted to be, comfortable within myself, and also just comfortable within my surroundings. And so I suppose one is having the vision of where I want my life to go, and then putting in, what are my goals that are going to take me to, towards my vision, and a lot of that was really just empowering myself. And how do I do that? I did study a lot, and I did sacrifice a lot of my social life, for example, so that I could put myself through uni and a few other courses that I did along the way. And it was just more to prepare me for where I needed to be comfortable, and not to face the challenges that I sort of went through.
Yes, indeed. And sort of what do you have any, like, when you're in school, do you have any goals like I want to maybe be here, or I want to do this when I grow up, or when I finish?
Yeah, yeah. So that sort of came towards when I was at uni. So when I was at uni, my first goal was I actually want when I graduate, I want to graduate with a distinction.
Nice.
So I was like, I gotta place myself on the top. I need to be there, and so whatever I need to do, that's what I'm gonna do. And as simple as that sounds, I was working full time. Well, more like 3 or 4 days I was working, and I have to attend university full time, and also I have a young family. So all in 7 days I have to fit all of that in, and mind you, having I think it's an audacious goal, because oftentimes people actually at uni, they struggle with prioritizing, when to study and when to have a social life. Yes, when should I get my assignment? So because I really had that goal,
Mhm.
it's sort of just social life, there were subjects I wasn't very good at, and I really had to challenge myself to be
Yeah.
organized for those, because I knew they contributed to my success. And why did I put an
The audio
emphasis?
is kind of sort of not stable. I don't know. The audio. I don't know if it's yeah. It's sort of coming in and going out. So I don't know.
Okay. Disconnect my headphones. Okay.
Maybe.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now. Yes. Yeah,
Okay.
it was sort of fading out and sort of
Okay.
really. Yeah, cool.
I just disconnected my headphones.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I was saying that basically, when I was at uni, I really wanted to get a, graduate with a distinction, because it opened so many opportunities for you. So whether you wanted to go and do masters, whether you want to go actually and start applying for jobs, yes, even though having a high GPA doesn't mean that it's not the be it or
Right.
the end, but it's really nice just so you can be able to talk with confidence, because they know that you obviously work hard. And that's what I did. And uh, Sort of towards the end of my degree, I thought, okay, how about I start building networks?
So going to places, attending events, joining the LinkedIn community, reaching out to people, and just more focus on, I think, around just storytelling and sharing my story. And I feel that way, I was able to connect with a few more people, and that's when the success really start. You start to see things changing, and you find that the people you hang out with, they sort of change as well. And they inspire you. For me, the people I hang out with, they inspire me, and I see them achieving their goals, and I celebrate with them, and I'm there when they need me, if they have some challenge. And so I feel that way we've been able to grow together.
Mhm. So, do you think you start developing friends who are helping you go forward, or do they just come by, or do you have to create those sort of initiative?
It's a two-way thing, right? First of all, you have to create an environment for the people that you meet to stay, right? So, and how do you do that? So you've got to create a safe space for them,
Alright.
so where they are able to share with you freely about their goals, their aspirations, and also, like, if they face any challenges, you want them to be able to talk to you about it. You want them to be able to speak to you about their goals, where they want to go, I suppose. And so, along with the safe space, you have to create you have to build the relationship based on trust. And so, I believe that if you trust someone, then your relationship is obviously going to progress. And lastly, I usually try to focus not on what that person can do for me, but what I can do for that person.
Right.
And I think, just having that, being positive with, you got that attitude, usually you find that other people will be drawn to you, because they will see the people that hang out with you, they are actually going places, and generally they'll be sharing, like, some of the amazing things maybe they do with you or in your company or whatever. They share about how you make them feel, and obviously good attracts good. So, and so with that, I feel like just my network is expanding, solely because of the things I've just highlighted.
Right. You talked about networking. How detrimental is networking in terms of going to events? How is that important for a person trying to grow their career?
Um, to be honest, so I actually used to be a bad introvert.
Oh,
um, yeah, I used to be very bad
I mean,
introvert.
when I was looking at when went for the investing in greatness, I was like, man, this guy is very confident.
Yeah. Oh, no, 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 no. I was introverted bad.
Oh,
And so because of that, because I was, obviously in high school,
right.
I sort of I struggled to fit, because back then you find a lot of people are hanging out, they're doing fun things, they're doing crazy stuff, and I'm here just focus on, like, my goals. And so usually, because I find during that stage anyways, not many people are in the same wavelength as you are, so you always have to be sort of like in your thoughts and stuff like that. And so I find myself oftentimes locked in my room, reading and stuff like that, and that was really the extent of it. But I wanted to challenge myself. I wanted to be comfortable around different people. And sometimes I'll attend an event, and I might just talk to one person. And sometimes I'll be like, oh man, how am I going? And I sort of start to run those scenarios in my head. If I meet this person, what am I going to say? What are they going to think of me? So I get worked out about different scenarios. But the more I attended, the more I got more comfortable. And again, as I said before, when you start to talk about the story with authenticity, it sort of draws people to you. And so slowly, I started getting comfortable with the idea of talking to different kind of people, and just to be out there. Probably like the first 2 years, it was really hard. And obviously, this is things that takes time and it takes some skill to be able to navigate. Because sometimes you're not talking to young people, you're talking to CEOs, you're talking to people who are doing recruiting, you're talking to doctors, etc. When you attend these events, and if you think critically, if you don't have a network, it's hard to get a job. It's hard to create opportunities. But if you have a network, everything is easy because you don't need to know everything now. You just need to know one thing, and that's where can I get help,
Right.
right?
Indeed.
And as soon as you pass the message, I might have something that's bothering me, and I'll talk to you about it. And guess what? You'll say, "Oh, I know someone," and that's the chain. It's like a domino effect.
Indeed.
So if you don't have a network, you're missing out big, big.
Indeed. And you talked about LinkedIn, which I also found very fascinating. Um, how were you able to? Because sometimes a lot of young people might not be able to know what LinkedIn is about, and how can people develop their networks on LinkedIn? Because you find there's a lot of people who are mostly professionals already in their industries. How
Hmm.
do you use LinkedIn maybe to connect or to do that? Because it's something that you also spoke at about during the investing in greatness session.
Yeah, sure. So how I would define LinkedIn? So LinkedIn is like Facebook, but for professionals. Okay. Um, the what you post on LinkedIn is going to be, let's say, around your passion. You know, because if you're at uni, for example, and even if you don't have a job, everybody has a passion, right? So let me just pick a random one. Yours might be sport,
Mhm.
but maybe you actually want to be a doctor. You know,
Right.
so on LinkedIn, you might share sports related content, right?
Indeed.
You might connect with sports personalities, for example, and whether it is so that I think that and like how I sort of like started working out where I fit into LinkedIn is it's just around my story. Okay, it has nothing to do with me as a professional. So all my posts, they relate nothing to about being a business analyst. You know,
Right.
if you ever looked at it, it's nothing to do with that. It's about me uh, giving back to the community. For example, you know, if I go and do something, it's about me meeting someone. If I meet you today, you know, you and I will have a conversation, and I will share a post about one or two things that you shared with me that really stuck with me. I might share a story about a young person from the community, from our community, for example, who's doing amazing things. You know, if they were a sports person and they signed up to a football club or something, I'll share that story about them, and I will try to put myself in their shoes, like where did they come from to be where they were,
Right.
and I will share that. And you'll find there is always an audience, especially if your story is is authentic. However, you might be a scientist, you know, and you might be sharing like scientific content, whether it's a discovery, whether it's a doctor who inspired you, or whatever. But I feel it's just about sharing something that you're really passionate about.
Right.
Um,
Pretty much.
so that's probably what I would say. So anybody who is who doesn't know what LinkedIn is, you just need to get there and just share about things you care about. That's pretty much it.
So then, how would you use it to get a job? Do you use it in a CV in your CV to so that professionals that are out there they can see that you are already doing something in the field that you are invested in?
Yeah. So my advice is not to join LinkedIn with the intention of actually getting a job, because that's like that's the it's a good thing to have in the back of your mind, but it should be like a secondary thing.
Right.
What you should join LinkedIn for is building relationships.
Right.
Just think about building relationships, and remember what I said before about what can I do for this person, rather than what this person can do for me. So always think about that. And let's say you could share somebody's content, you know, if you read a post on LinkedIn that you find inspiring,
Right.
why wouldn't you comment on that and say, oh my god, this really touched me, I feel this is very inspiring, and actually people in my network deserve to hear this. Why wouldn't you share that? And I feel like the more you have a frequent touch point, all of a sudden it's much easier to have a conversation with that person and just say, hey, I love what you're doing. Can we please have a conversation? And I think through that you are able to share a little bit about yourself, and what you're sort of looking to do, where you want to go. So I give you an example. Through the work that I've been doing with One in Four, and when I was uni, I met somebody. They also do charity work, but they actually work for a tech company. They work at Microsoft. So he and I were just having this conversation, like you and I are having now. And he asked me, "What do you do for a living?" See, at the time I was selling furniture, so I used to work in showroom. I said, "Look, I'm studying a Bachelor of IT. I'm nearly finished, but are you hiring?" And he said, "I'm not hiring, but I know someone." And from then he just reached out to his friend who runs a tech company, and he said, "Hey, guy has an amazing story. Even if you don't have a job lined up, just listen to what he has to say." And really, that was just that, and that's just a spark. And it's because we built this relationship, we built this connection, and so suddenly he knows me and I know him, and for me to say, "Look, I need this," he was able to make that connection. And I think probably like since then I've probably changed three or four jobs after that, but I've never actually had to apply. I've just literally had to tell girl that, "Hey, look, I need a job. I'm looking to make a shift."
Right.
And I mean, but also if you're serious, if you just want to, don't be afraid as well. Don't be afraid to just say, "Look, I need a job." Because that's actually, if that's what you're after, yes, sure. You just post it, find creative ways to do it.
And talking about 1 in 4, do you mind telling us what is 1 in 4?
Okay, so 1 in 4, its whole is 1 in 4 children, and so it represents the number of children facing illiteracy around the world. So if you think about it, if you have 4 people in a room, one of them is illiterate. So it means a lot of very, very poor people. Essentially, that's what it means.
All right.
It means a lot of families going to bed without food. It means a lot of kids not being able to live to their aspirations. All because their parents didn't go to school and they weren't able to get a good job, and therefore they're working hard labor, and the parents now can't afford to pay school fees, and so you've got that cycle. So I started that in 2019. So, and that I had an opportunity to do a TEDx talk. And for those who don't know, a TEDx talk is the equivalent of the big TED talk that happens in the US, where someone with a story just gets up on stage and shares a little bit about themselves, whether it's scientific, whether it's philosophical, whether it's just a story about you that has the potential to inspire the people. And I really, in that talk, I gave a talk about belonging.
Right.
And I wanted to find out who I was, as a refugee, because if you move from one country to another, you are a refugee, and a lot of people they struggle with identity and a sense of belonging, because in every community you're in, people maybe the local people have a way of making you feel like you are the other person, and so you don't fit in. So if you don't fit in, how are you supposed to be successful? How are you supposed to be able to live your best life? So, and so for me to do a talk about belonging and identity, I needed to understand where I came from. And that's when I did some research into Sudan and like the things that were going on, and discovering that in 2011, the government bombed, like 100 schools. They destroyed all of those schools. So, you have children who weren't going to school. The teachers didn't have any books. Students obviously didn't have anything to read. Putting that into context about me, that how I was a child in that exact situation back then when I was young, the government was destroying our schools, and I was witness to a lot of the things that were happening in 2011, because they happened to me back then when I was young, and to obviously discover that it's still going on today. And fast forward, I'm thinking that the only difference between me and those kids is that I've had an opportunity to get an education.
All right.
And having a conversation with people back at home, they're saying we don't have books, we don't have this, and I'm like, okay, well, how about I get you guys a couple of books, and let's see how we go, and if it changes anything. And so I basically start out contacting people on different networks, and I collected a few boxes, and before you know it, we had a full container load.
Mhm.
We had a full container load that we were able to send off, and since then we've been able to deliver about 50,000 books. So that's sort of like a high level view.
And one in four, what countries are you guys supplying books to?
So at the moment it's East Africa. So we've done a project in Sudan, and we're looking to do another one in Kenya soon. And we've done a project up in Papua New Guinea, so which is in like this side, in Australia way, and possibly looking at doing some local projects here as well, just depending on the need, but it's mostly around East Africa.
Sort of, how can people get involved? Maybe by helping with the cause.
So, well, there's many ways you can get involved. So it's collect books really. You can donate books, but then you can also donate financially. So you have we've got our website. So if you go to www.oneinforchildren.org, so that's all spelled out: ONEINFOURCHILDREN.org. You also have an ability to be able to donate through that. But if you're in Brisbane, we actually have our black tie dinner that's coming up on the 23rd of July. It's time to get fancy. It's 1970s upbeat funk, so we're going to be doing a bit of dancing. So you can come to that event as well. We haven't released the tickets yet, but just watch this space. It's going to be at the Hamilton Hotel, which is right in Hamilton. So that's an opportunity to come and actually hear a story of what we do, where we want to go, and also just to be able to feed, to be able to support, to be a part of the journey.
Yeah, the last time you guys did the dinner party, the dinner gala at I think it was at St. James, right?
Yes, in James College.
Really good, and hopefully this year I can attend as well, man, because it was incredible.
Yeah, oh yeah. This year it's called, and if you're coming, we're actually gonna have a DJ.
Okay.
We're having a DJ, so you'll be able to dance, man. I think you'll be able to pull up some moves.
Oh man, I'm excited already.
Yeah.
I haven't seen the tickets, but I'm already excited to probably do a bit of dancing. Yeah.
Oh yes,
It's important cause yeah.
it's going to be incredible. I feel most of the prep work is already done. We're just finalizing the actual tickets, and it's going to be exciting. For you guys, for some people who drink, it's going to be a great time because we're having a 3-course meal and 3 hours drinks package. So you have 3 hours to just drink, which is awesome. It's much cheaper than buying drinks, because usually when you buy a bottle of whatever out of beer, it's like $10. But now you got 3 hours. Not bad.
Yeah. Oh man, I'm excited, especially because it's supporting a good cause of 1 in 4, which is a very something that's I feel like it's something that's needs to be more people need to be educated on how they can be able to empower people. Although you may not be living in the same environment as them, but the little you give, can be able to support a kid who's in need.
Yeah.
Something that I admire what you did. You didn't focus on maybe food, but educating someone, because they say that education is the most powerful weapon.
Yeah, also for your health. To be honest, look at it this way. So, I think, like, as a refugee, to be honest, I'm a citizen now, but just think about it. You've been uprooted from your home country, right? And if you don't have a chance at an education, what this means is you're gonna be poor for life, almost. Not guaranteed, but your life is going to be worse off. Because how can you be a doctor if you don't know how to read or write?
Right.
How can you how if you have a problem at home, how can you figure out how to solve it? There are a lot of necessities that a lot of books or whatever, but you have to be able to analyze a lot of information.
Right.
It's only through that process of education do you do the research, create solutions or develop solutions, and actually solve those problems in an efficient manner. But even then, human beings are about fulfillment. So you need to be able to live a life that's fulfilled, that's meaningful, that you feel like you're actually achieving something.
Indeed.
And so if you're not doing that, your life is basically just being wasted. And so for people maybe who will live in Australia, if you can't make it in Australia, it's pretty hard to make it somewhere else. Because we have a chance at you can go to study almost entirely for free, and then once you start earning above a certain threshold, that's when you pay it back. You know, and imagine like all of the other people who don't actually have this opportunity. If they had, do you know how many other diseases we would have been able to solve?
Yes.
Like so many. Do you know how many creative solutions we would be able to come up with? All of this poverty that we're seeing people talk about in Africa is because the people don't have the resources. And you'll see every time there is like a country is well educated, or at least the majority of the population is, the standard of living is like up here. And that's where we need to be. And I feel like if you've been given even this much education, you should give back,
Indeed.
whether it's your time, whether it's through other means. But I think we all can do it, and you'll be surprised at how much you'll be able to gain by giving.
Yeah, that's very good. That's very powerful. And man, very thank you very much for that, man. That's very encouraging. And
Mm,
then something that's I also admire about what you do is or during the 1 in 4 events, you talked about your son. I'm not gonna get too much into it, but man, the fact that you were willing to honor him on that day, man,
mm,
very powerful. Like
mm,
how can somebody when a connection like that with the father and the son, meet
mm.
him at the front there and thanking him, for giving up his room just for that was very powerful. That was very moving.
Yeah, yes. He's the chairman, man.
Yeah,
He's
yeah,
the chairman.
that was impeccable, man. I was just looking at that, man. I was like, man, this is very powerful. Like the relationship that this son has with his dad, where his dad is, is giving him that award, man.
Yeah.
Powerful, man. And thank you for doing that, because it's still encouraging a lot of people.
Yeah, I honestly thank you. Also, thank you so much as well for being a part of our journey. I don't know if you know it, but you've inspired us, or me personally, more than you know. Yeah, some of the short snippets of videos that you normally post on Facebook. I'm usually just checking out. I'm like, oh, that's so good. And for you to also be able to attend, I think I've probably seen you like maybe in 2 or 3 events, or at least that I've been a part of. And it just shows that you're about being positive, about changing people's life. And sometimes you will say something and you don't even know that you're making an impact on someone. But for them, it's sometimes it just like it triggers something in their mind, be like to think like, oh, okay, I need to be able to do this. I need to be able to do this, or I can do it.
Yeah,
So it's really, really nice. I love the platform you guys are creating, because it's all about conversations.
yes, indeed.
It's really about conversations.
Thank you very much, man, for that. And this is the end of our interview. And our audience, you can know more about Kamal. He's more information on his LinkedIn page, or you can even go to support 1 in 4 by visiting 1 in 4. You can type it in Google, and we'll put the link below for 1 in 4, the charity. And
Yeah.
I just want to thank Kamal for being with us, Stephen, Kamal, for being with us today. And I just want to leave you with one question, and this is like a question that we just asked at the end, like, what's one thing that you attribute, mostly to your success?
Attitude.
That's good. Do you want to explain more? Or
Yeah. Um, I'm going to use a very cheesy example.
Mm-hmm.
It's always, when people talk about the glass in a the water in a glass, it's either half full or it's half empty. So it really depends on what your perspective is. So if you always have a positive attitude, doesn't matter what the circumstance is, there's always a way out, and you will never actually have a problem because every problem now becomes an opportunity. If you're at work and if you come across a problem, your mind is already saying there's a way to solve this, so I'm going to find it.
Mm-hmm.
So you'll be the person always thinking about the solution and not the problem. And that's pretty much what I attribute, because every single challenge I've come across, I never think about it like that. I just think about it that there is a solution for it. And so I think that's really, really helped me along the way.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your time today, and thank you for visiting Inspire Others today. And thank you very much for your time, for taking the time.
Love it, love it, love it, love it.
And our audience, make sure you go and check out 1 in 4, the events that will be coming out. Make sure you go and get your tickets. You don't want to miss this one because it's an incredible cause. We want to support more people, to be able to have education. And you doing that, you're providing for a lot of people who, they don't have the same chance that you had here today. So make sure you check out 1 in 4. The link will be down below, and make sure you also check out more about Kamal's story, which he has even as he said, he did a TED talk. So make sure you go and check that one as well, and all his other social media platforms. Thank you very much, and peace.
Wonderful. Thank you. See you later.
Thank you very much for tuning in to Inspire Others. That was the talk that we did with Stephen Kamal, and make sure you go and check out his there's a video that he did, a TED talk that he did. Make sure you go and check it out, and make sure you go to 1 in 4 children and support the cause, because it's an incredible cause. And make sure you reach out to Inspire Others for any encouragement or any message. And if you would like to be involved with Inspire Others, or you would like to share something with Inspire Others, or you would like to be one of the guests that I interview on Inspire Others, please reach out and we can always get that started. Peace.